Hey, I just finished watching Disenchantment Season 1 for the first time, and I couldn't stop myself but think that I really like this Beanie character. For me, right now, at the end of the first season, she's my favorite from the series. This video will be an analysis of her and an attempt on getting to know her in a more meaningful way. The timestamps will be in the bio, so if you want to watch just a particular part, you're welcome to use them. And a disclaimer, this video will contain spoilers, so beware. Tiabeanie. She's the first character introduced to us. She's a princess, a daughter of King Zog, who rules the kingdom of Dreamland with his second wife Una, who's not a human, but some type of a lizard. Beanie is clearly unhappy and unsatisfied with what her life brings to her, even when other people would literally die to have her life.
This is Princess Tiabeanie. She's going to be staying with us until she realises how good she has it.
She shows how fearless and brave she is, at times even shows her clever, particularly good, skillful and nifty side of getting out of difficult situations. However, along with this, her dissatisfaction shows during the whole first season. She's supposed to marry, but she denies marriage without love, and so we follow her as she tries to find someone who, on one side, would bring her to fall in love, and on the other side is someone who's not scared of her father, who, as we learn and are reminded pretty frequently, kills everyone that gets close or has any physical contact with his daughter, and is not someone whose marriage with Beanie would serve a higher purpose for the kingdom and could secure some kind of alliance, if not more. Beanie's answer to her father's cruelty and supervision over her personal life and relationships is to basically seduce any guy that would show no fear of the king. However, only the ones that don't live in Dreamland have no fear of the king's cruelty, and when she meets this Viking guy at a party she arranges when her father's gone, she's totally hooked on him basically immediately. The only important thing is that he doesn't know that she's princess and outrightly claims that he fears no king. It feels as if Beanie wouldn't want anything else in the person. The only thing she wants, it seems, is to rebel against the king's wishes, and she can do that only with someone who's not afraid of her dad. This whole party situation of course ends in catastrophe, a brutal massacre of the guests, and same goes to the Viking guy and his mate.
This is why you're still single!
She has these two new friends, Elfo and Lucy. Lucy is Beanie's personal demon, and Elfo I think is the one who could be called a friend, honestly, because he cares about Beanie's well-being and not only her being, like Lucy does. And, well, what else could you expect from a demon? These three spend a lot of time hanging out together, drinking and saving each other from trouble. Mostly Beanie, accompanied by Lucy, saves Elfo, who gets in trouble frequently. But even though Beanie now has some new people in her life, she's still evidently missing something. The way she doesn't find her comfort in the life she's living can be seen the most in the episode 5. The one felt the worst for me, seeing Beanie as the one and only odd one out. And it felt like there's nobody to comfort her or anything. She gets punished for the party with the Viking guy from 4th episode by being sent to some kind of holy order where she shows again her clever side and ability to think logically, but she obviously doesn't belong there. After she's sent back to the kingdom because the nuns couldn't stand her, her father forbids her from going back to the princess life she knew and casts Beanie out. She is able to stay at a house with her handmaid Bunty and her family, who clearly has too many children. Beanie sees here the tough life in poverty that these people have to live. Their children, I feel like, as soon as they can stand up, have to go and start working, so they could live to see another day and wouldn't die from hunger or cold. Beanie takes this as an opportunity to find something that she's good at. In my opinion, she just needs to find something that would fulfill her, even if only for a moment, and so she decides to find a job for herself. And she does. She actually tries many, which don't really work out.
I'm a good butcher.
This is a pet shop.
Later it seems that luck finds her with Bunty's husband Stan, who works as an executioner and offers Beanie a job. He tortures people, or, well, obviously executes them, and Beanie must follow orders and do it too. She tries to do as she's told and seems to excel especially in torturing, even though it's not intentional. We can see some kind of accomplishment flicker in her yet when she's supposed to replace Stan due to his back pain in his executionary duty and behead an elderly woman who's claimed to be a witch, but doesn't really do much for Beanie to feel threatened by her and so to feel okay beheading her. Beanie can't bring herself to do it. We could see, I would say, her innocent side when she finds hard to harm someone without having a particularly good reason for it. Everyone seems to be somehow differently wired and feels disappointed in her action, and so Beanie leaves Dreamland feeling like nobody and insecure as ever. Nevertheless, after this, she and Lucy find Elfo's footprints in forest, try to find him, and while saving him, Beanie kills Hansel and Gretel, and thanks to that, she gets to come back as a princess. Here, it's obvious what's Tiabeanie good at, and that's saving her friends without any hesitation or fear. When it comes to hunting people for the right reason, she does it with an admirable dedication, even though killing them evidently troubles her the same, even when her life is threatened. But she still manages to chop into their heads, of course, although it looks like it was just an accident. Not only she gets to come back, but also saves the life of the old witch, who, as it turns out, was under a spell, and Beanie's father, the king, even shares that he's proud of Beanie. In the next episode, she shares her thoughts about being worthless and not knowing anything of use with her father, who pities her and arranges a meeting with his wife Una's family in Denkmeier, where Beanie would go as an ambassador. Of course, she blows it, but not by her fault. It's mostly because Lucy gets her drunk on some strong swamp drink. She manages to insult their allies, who immediately cancel their treaty and declare Dreamland war. They try to run, get caught by some swamp people, and Beanie, again, is the one to fight off the swamp monster. She's strong and innovative when it comes to fighting bad guys, but she obviously doesn't see that. When it comes to Beanie and alcohol, it's clear as the sky that this woman has a problem. She drinks a lot, and that in every single episode. Her drunk self gets Beanie into so much trouble, and still, she probably doesn't even think about quitting drinking. Well, why is that? Obviously, that kiddo is struggling and has nowhere else to turn to for a release. Alcohol is her manipulative friend, and her other so-called friends only encourage her in drinking even more. I don't think that she could help it without anything else changing in her life. It's true that something has already changed. Her life brought her Lucy and Elfo, two new creatures to keep her company, but they aren't exactly the best influence, and they get drunk frequently with her. On the other side, saving Elfo's neck is the only thing that keeps her from further drinking all the time, so I guess that's a good thing. and at the same time her friends are the only thing that saves her from her everyday stereotypical life besides from alcohol. So yay, another great reason to keep them around. Not only she brings shame upon herself as a drunk princess, but she does things without deeper thinking when drunk. What's more, she needs only a little poke to do a giant stupid thing. As I mentioned already, she basically starts war with Dankmeyer when drunk, or before that. She cancels her wedding, but she does it in a way that ends in kind of a death of her fiancé.
Nope, still alive, but suffering greatly.
And I think she knows that it's completely wrong, but she just can't help herself. Plus the little demon that encourages her to do the bad stuff out of everything doesn't help. When it comes to her being sober and waking up remembering stuff from the day before, it's, in her own words, weird. It's so out of the ordinary for her it doesn't even feel normal. To her it's just as unusual as waking up on the back of a flying griffin. Hell, it's weird even to the guards and people around her, to the extent they don't believe it's her they are talking to. Because Beanie is normally drunk at that time of the day. Beanie has reasons to feel like that's the right thing to do to herself, and well, she doesn't know any better. Tiabeanie for the longest time felt completely alone in the world, with her mother dying, father who remarried and now has his new own family, as Tiabeanie said, without any close friends or friends in general, as she confessed to Lucy. She has only ever had few drinking buddies, but no one who would feel close. When Elfo and Lucy came, I guess something changed. She has someone that she could care about, and someone that to some extent cares about her too. Elfo is in love with her, and Lucy, well, he cares at least about Beanie staying alive. She still misses something in her life, and alcohol is a way to fill it in. It's interesting to note that when Beanie finds out that her mother wasn't dead and manages to save her, she stays sober for a long period of time, and it seems that another drink is not so much the center of her mind anymore. Of course, not till Beanie and her mother talk about their favorite things, places, foods, where they find out that drinking is one of the stuff they have in common, and then get drunk together. Finally, this is a topic that strikes, I would say, most viewers of the show right away. Beanie has only a father. Her mother died when she was only a little child, or at least that's what we are told when we first meet the princess. She is visibly saddened by her mother's departure and the fact that she has no one else that could replace the mother-daughter relationship she imagines she would have. She only has her father now, who was too overloaded with his king duties to raise Beanie and form some kind of close relationship with his daughter. The gap between them grew evidently bigger when he remarried to Una and built a new family, leaving Beanie feeling lonelier and lonelier. She got raised mainly by Bunty, who's pretty close to Beanie, but still it's only as close as a handmaid with a family of her own could get to a princess. Beanie obviously lacks her father's attention and does anything to get it, even if it's only his rage mode talk. There are some bright moments between them when Zog at least tells Beanie that he's proud of her, but to me it feels just like that. Only some words. In defense of Zog, he's a king and a father who doesn't seem to be good at any of it, but still tries and does what he knows. Which is, well, sadly, most of the time only the rage. But when it comes to Beanie, we can see that he at least tries sometimes. Like in episode 6, when he sees she's struggling and finds a way to make her feel better for a moment.
Yeah, and it's working. Express boat to Dankmeyer.
He knows that he isn't doing exactly great with her and admits it loudly in front of Beanie's mother's grave, where he wishes for her to come back because she would know what to do with her, how to raise and make her feel better. It's obvious he's helpless and doesn't know how to deal with his daughter, nor how to understand her. It's a giant problem and it makes the gap between the two even bigger. The biggest it gets is probably when Zog casts Elfo out and locks Beanie up in the most secure room of all in the castle. Beanie still escapes and goes to find her friend, and she does find him, but later the royal guards catch up with them and, well, Elfo gets killed. Beanie tells her father that she hasn't only lost Elfo, but that she lost her father too. That's the moment when we find out, because Zog tells Beanie, that her mother isn't exactly dead, that she's been poisoned and turned to stone. King leaves her with that, and Beanie finds a way to save her mother, basically right away and by a lucky coincidence. However, this is the moment when Beanie has to make a choice between saving her mother or saving her friend Elfo. The choice is obvious and she decides to save her mother. In that few days, she finds out how similar she is to her mother and probably thinks that she finally found the missing piece. Beanie now has someone who will understand and support her, and everything will be perfect from then on. However, we soon find out that that's just not happening, and that there's more to everything. The first season ends with Beanie escaping with her mother, without knowing that she was the one who tried to poison her father 15 years ago, and that she turned the whole kingdom to stone in the present. To sum everything up, Princess Tiabeanie is someone who struggles deeply in her life, but is strong enough to get through everything that may come. I'm looking forward to seeing what's next and where Beanie gets over time. And with that, thank you kindly for watching, and please, if you enjoyed this video, leave me here a like and subscribe for more. I would love to see you next time. I'll be definitely doing part 2 and 3 to this video after watching the second and the third season, so stick around for that. Thanks again for watching, and don't be afraid to leave your thoughts in the comment section. I would love to read them. Goodbye. Would you rather know the date of your death or the cause of your death? Just curious. Till next time, goodbye.